thank you so much for having us. We're delighted to be here and spread some inspiration with you today as we talk about really how we made Philadelphia undisputably relevant and timeless. So yes, I'm Fiona Gordon. I'm the CEO of Ogilvy UK.
And I am Kirsten McPherson. I like the new title, The Big Cheese. I am the Marketing Director for Meals at Mondēlez International. And Fiona, I don't know if this has dawned on you yet today, because I know we've told this story a few times now, but we've got a lot of pressure on us today. We are the only brand showcasing a real-life example of how Rory's life's work helps you when you go back after Nudgestock. So no pressure, but we've got to do a really good job. Do you think we can do it?
I think we can do it.
Okay.
So obviously, you're going to tell the story of what we did. So why don't you begin by just a little bit of context about what was going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So Philadelphia is one of Britain's biggest brands. It's been around for over 140 years. If I asked all of you in the audience if you know it, I am confident that 100% of you would say yes. It's the cream of cream cheese, market leader, and something we've all grown up with. But as Dan said, during the cost of living crisis, consumers were really questioning the value of branded players in general and whether they should keep them in their baskets for another 140 seconds, never mind 140 minutes. And we needed to think differently and fast. It was really imperative to remain true to a much-loved product, but be hyper-relevant in the context of consumers' lives right there and then.
So obviously you were at a point where every business was challenged, all brands were challenged. I think we can all remember the intensity of that, but what kind of made you think about starting to bring the ambition for change, and what made you think about, at Mondēlez, what do we need to do differently?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we like to dream big, Fiona, at Mondēlez and Ogilvy. We never set low goals. So we launched this concept that we called moving from a mirror to a magnet brand. Because really our mission was clear. Standing still was unthinkable. We were losing shoppers, we were losing market share, and we absolutely had to do something different. So this was a thought that really stopped us in our tracks, because we understood our consumers, we knew what they did, we knew how they used the product, but we probably weren't compelling them in the way that we could. We needed them to feel about us, and yes, I am talking about a cream cheese, that we were completely irreplaceable in their lives and they wouldn't swap us out for anything else, irrespective of cost or price. We needed to be in their hearts, not just their minds. And really, we brought in behavioural science because that was the catalyst that sort of enabled us to augment what we knew, not necessarily change it and chuck it all out the window, but to make it even better and get the why behind the why.
So, I mean, it's a pretty big ambition when you think of it. I mean, obviously, you're right, you were at a time where probably it called for an action. But actually, you say, it's a cream cheese brand. And I can imagine taking that argument up into Mondēlez, more senior management and so on. It was probably quite a hard decision in a sense. So how did you manage to kind of convince people? And then how did you know it had paid off?
Totally. So I think this is what we'd been doing before. We'd been very functional. We knew exactly what consumers did. We followed them. We helped them put it in a pasta dish. We helped them spread it on a bagel. But we just weren't connecting with them emotionally. And as we said, that we were losing shoppers, we were losing market share, and standing still or doing the same thing became unthinkable. So, of course, it's always difficult to make a 180 change, especially very quickly. We did this in a matter of weeks, not months. So it was very fast.
This was when one of Rory's time moments is you had to go fast.
We had to go fast, exactly. And I think, of course we were on tenterhooks when we did it, but the risk of doing nothing outweighed the risk of getting it wrong. So, we all breathed a huge sigh of relief and got the cream cheese out when, after the first quarter, we had grown 20% in sales. So we knew we had the ingredients of something really special to work with.
So obviously 20% is a number I think most brands in the room would be like, yes, thank you, I'll take that. But how did you then actually start to use those behavioural insights, and what kind of did you actually start to embed then in everything you were doing?
So the concept of moving from a mirror to a magnet brand was really catalytic for us. And I think knowing that we wanted to get deeper into the emotion about a cream cheese was really a big shift. It sounds obvious, the basics of marketing, tap into emotion, but we had been very functional with this product in the past. So we needed insights that helped us, tie the market truth of what the product is to the hearts of consumers. And that's where we wanted to bring in behavioural science to just get a few key insights that were realistic, not too lofty, not purpose with a capital P, but really that understood what consumers were feeling in the moment and how we could interact with that. So there were three things that were really catalytic for us. So one is this concept of a scarcity mindset. So in times of high stress, which let's face it, when are we not in a time of high stress at the moment, given the word of a couple of years ago was perma-crisis. But I think, when you are in something like a cost of living crisis, you've come under so much stress, you lose your peripheral vision, your bandwidth goes down, your inability to think long term goes out the window, and you become really impulsive. I mean, I found it mind-blowing that you physically have a reaction to stress and your vision narrows in front of you. So whatever we do has to be super simple. So a 12-step pasta recipe was 11 steps too far for the future for us. So that was a really big one. So stress is a real relevance in everyone's life at the moment and what that meant for communication. And secondly, I think comfort as an antidote to stress was a really big unlock for us. So we're hardwired from childhood to feel comfort from milk, because that's obviously what we're fed as a child. That's how we are comforted. And as a milk-based product, it's something Philadelphia's got in dollops. So something super simple was hiding in plain sight. We could be comforting in a really simple way. And the third one was relevance. So if it wasn't relevant today, they didn't care. They were too stressed. So this wasn't about creating a huge, big TV campaign. This was about hyper-contextualization, what we call empathy at scale, and having lots of mini micro moments across out-of-home, digital, social, that we could target through time of month, individual circumstance, place, to really make it relevant in the moment.
Yeah, totally. And I think, obviously, as we've been working on behaviour science now for over a decade, we use a lot of different cognitive tools as we're doing our work on brands. And we really look at what are the behind the actions, as we've all been talking about today, what's actually driving the behaviour. And there is evidence that brands really do matter in times of crisis, which is probably useful for us all, as we're probably going to continue to live in them. So I would say this is not just about, the pandemic. I would just bear these points in mind. But in the short term, and I think we probably all know this when we go in shopping, is we do seek comfort and familiarity. So you revert back to brands that you maybe have grown up with, or you have those positive association memories. So in times of crisis, people go where they know. But it's important to think that in the medium term of time, those brands that actually actively work to make those connections, we call it empathy, and that those works that work with that, they then start to build the steps for loyalty when maybe the situation changes. So in the long term, the more that you've put into that brand to build those connections, obviously then you're kind of almost mitigating your future risk, whether that's a new entrant or something else happening in society. So it's classic, the more credit you put in the bank, the more you're protecting yourself for the future. So as you looked at this, like from being a mirror to a magnet, and obviously you really were proving that brand worth, in the real world, what did the consumer actually see Philadelphia showing up and doing?
So we launched a campaign called Simply Better with Philadelphia. So you can see it's quite a stark contrast to the other image that I showed.
So this is our hug moment. So this is our comfort.
This is our comfort, exactly. So the hug you didn't know you needed, it's Simply Better with Philadelphia, was one of many messages that we put out into the market super quickly to be understood, super simple product delivery.
Yes, and then to the point of this, we did do this in like 2 to 3 weeks after having the discussion. So we were moving at real-time speed.
Rapid pace. I know I can see a lot of people in the audience today who worked on this campaign thinking, yep, it was rapid. But we turned it round, and there was a number of executions of how this came together across the market. So the hug you didn't know you needed is my personal favourite, but also, we targeted different times of year, different times of day, different locations, different life stages. So for example, Love at First Bite was put out around Valentine's Day. A tasty lunch al desco was around the time of the great return to the office. A rare smell from the teenager targeting parents. And we did have a lot of fun with this as well. So we did hijack a few other brands. Ritz, one thing we can all agree on, it's Simply Better with Philadelphia. And of course, some of the UK's favourite Philadelphia-related streets, like Sandwich Street and Bread Street, which could also be better with Philadelphia, in our opinion.
Exactly. So, obviously, we know once you've got the heart of a brand, it's critical then to kind of stay relevant, keep evolving, stay in consumers' mind, top of mind, get that mind space. So what did you do next to kind of take the behavioural science learnings, but keep evolving them to stay top of mind for people?
So I think this... the growth that we were seeing was giving us real confidence in the approach. It's got to be simple. It can't be too lofty. It's anchored in comfort. It's anchored in reassurance, given the brand heritage and the duration that we've been around for. So bringing it all together, we are really glued to this emotion-led approach and have launched a new platform called You've Got a Friend in Philly. So it's about how Philadelphia is a friend to you in the first instance, providing those little moments of reassurance and comfort when life just gets a bit stressful, but also friend to food. It tastes great with everything. And also when you share food with others, it actually tastes better. So really inspiring moments of friendship through what is a really versatile and shareable product.
Yeah.
Yeah, shall we watch the TV
Yeah,
copy? It's got a great soundtrack.
The best friends are always there when you need them. Delicious and comfortingly creamy. You've got a friend in Philly.
So we launched the You've Got a Friend in Philly platform with this TV copy, telling the story of how Philadelphia is with you through your life. We also created a new design language, tone of voice, which was much friendlier than before. And as you can see from the screen, we have actually formally renamed Philadelphia Philly because that's what our friends would call us anyway.
Which is always a hard thing for a brand to do, to have that courage to do it. But you're right, it makes it part of the real human truth, doesn't it? And I think, we know like brands like cream cheese and quality brands, you're never safe. You can be swapped out if you become a commodity. It's very easy at shelf or when people are in that stress moment for kind of to lose and make a different decision. So you can see, I think, hopefully, the starting with Simply Better, which was really a fast response to get people thinking about it. But then You've Got a Friend in Philly, taking that comfort but keeping it coming alive in a really interesting way, is really about how you can take behavioural science, insights and emotions and really put them at the heart of your brand. So as we start to sum up, Kirsten, what would you say are you if for all the marketers out here thinking about, well, what do I do with my brand? How do I get a 20% increase I can take back to the board? What would you say were the 3 factors of success?
Yeah, so I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. This mirror to magnet thinking was really catalytic for us. So moving from just following consumers to drawing them in emotionally, even if it is just cream cheese. There's probably something, that why behind a why that we were certainly missing one. What could yours be? What could you think about that would take you from that mirror to magnet status? Timeless truth is one I think is really important. There's probably something hiding in plain sight in every product that you could really harness, that's really ownable. It's not an overclaim, but it's important in some way to a consumer. So ours was comfort and reassurance.
And I think it's interesting today when we talk about time, one dimension is timeless, something that actually you build over time, but you keep investing in.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think we are absolutely glued to this approach because since we shifted, in the last year alone, we've added 11 million to the brand. So this is something we will continue to do. And I think when you find that timeless truth, when you know the insight, trust it, invest in it, and yeah, it'll be amazing.
And then the last one is, as a team, I think as a team it was really clear that between Mondēlez and Ogilvy there was this real partnership to keep pushing, keep evolving, keeping looking at new insights. So I guess that last one would be that trust and invest in yourself as a team.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, there's quite a few people in the audience today, Dan included, who worked on this campaign. So absolutely, it's about, having those tough conversations to say, what we've been doing isn't working, maybe there's something else, slowing down to speed up on research and doing it together, absolutely.
Well, hopefully we've done Rory and the team proud and shown you today that there are a lot of lessons that you can learn from the story of behavioural science, really, and how in a brand like Philadelphia, which is 140 years old, we took it into the heart of that brand and really built it into the emotion of the brand. But I think for any brands out there, I think it's really about thinking, what is your problem to solve, but what are consumers actually going to do and what insights can you apply, but also what do you have in them to talk to them at different periods of time and kind of stay timeless. Now, we are going to whet your appetite. I hope you're all wanting to eat some cream cheese by now. So at the lunch break, we're happy to share. You can come and share some friendship with us and continue the conversation because we do have a Philadelphia stand, of course. So we look forward to sharing some local bagels with you. We are on Brick Lane after all, and some great Philadelphia. And thank you so much.
Thank you.